Hey, welcome everybody. I would like to first introduce our chair of the board, Diana Stevenson, and Diana will get the AGM started. So it gives me a lot of pleasure to introduce Diana to you. Peter, can you hear me okay? Okay. Diana is in her second term as chair of the board of directors. She was first elected by her board colleagues in 2013, and Diana is, interestingly, a government-appointed public representative, which is a little bit unusual for boards, and we're very, very fortunate to have her. Diana was first appointed to our board in 2010, and she brought with her a wealth of board experience and knowledge of governance, business, and communications. Diana's career positions have included corporate officer with the BC Hydro, disbanded BC Hydro, Chief Governance Officer of Mountain Equipment Co-op, and now Governance and Shareholder Relations Officer for the NMAX Energy Corporation. Diana will be chairing the AGM and the 10-year anniversary celebration, and please help me welcome Diana as chair of the board of the directors. Thank you.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. You'll have to bear with me. If anyone can't hear me, just let me know, and I'll also be slowing down if I need to. So a big welcome to everybody in attendance today. We're going to try to keep on track as quickly as possible because we've got some good stuff to get ahead to this afternoon. We've got two groups of attendees. We've got those here in person. We also have people on the webcast. So before I call the meeting to order, just a quick reminder, we've got refreshments in the room and the washrooms are just outside in the hallway. One little bit of water here. So after last year's AGM, we sent a survey to registrants. We listened. You said you wanted speakers and you said you wanted education sessions. To accommodate this, today we have a full 2-hour agenda. I apologize, I'm just getting over the flu. We have a full 2-hour agenda, and we also have the 10-year celebration. So it promises to be an interesting and informative event. First, I'd like to introduce you today to the existing board of directors with us. Please stand when I call out your name. The board members' names and terms of office are also located in the materials that you would have received out at the front table today. First, we have Casey, who's our current vice chair. We have Maria, who's out in the audience, who just completed her term of office this year. We have Adrian with us, who's also out in the audience. We have Monica at the end of the table. We have Heather. We have Jackie, who I believe is on webcast. And we also have Delara. The one member who's not with us today is Jonas Mellon. He is a government appointee and he was unable to attend today. New members to the board as of this year, we have Jan with us at the table. And also hot off the press, we have a new government appointee, Larry Yor. He's from the island and he is not able to join us today, but he will be joining us at our next board meeting on June 20th. We also have the people who really make the college run. And those are probably the most important people in my mind in our room today. They are the lifeblood of the organization, and I want to call them out in particular. We have our intrepid leader, Fern Hubbard, who is our registrar. We have Marilyn, our executive assistant. We have Jeannie, our practice advisor. Somebody is hiding behind the balloons. And we have Billie Jane as well, and she's our quality assurance coordinator. I'd also like to give special recognition to Melanie, who's in the audience with us today, and she is our assistant registrar. So please take a moment to review the agenda that's in your package. You would have received that. We're going to be keeping it pretty tight. If there are no proposed changes or additions, I will be calling for a motion from the floor for us to accept the agenda as presented. So if I can have a registrant in attendance, raise your hand and call out your name to put the motion on the floor, that would be great. Thank you. So by consent, any opposed? Great. So we're now going to review the highlights of the 2013-14 annual report. All registrants and public representatives received this report by email last week, and we hope you've had a chance to review it. The webcast participants, who I'd also like to welcome today, if you don't have a copy in front of you, you will also find it out on our website. It's under the section News, into the Board section, and under Annual Report. Now, we do have a dedicated Q&A session. The Q&A session is going to cover all of the different bits that we're covering off during the AGM. So as we're going through all the pieces right now, I would just ask that you hold any questions, and we're very keen to hear from you, and we're wanting to hear from you once we've gotten through the voting and some of the more formal matters on the agenda. Included in that annual report, you've got annual reports from both the board as a full body and also each of the committees who work with the board to govern and oversee the operations of the college. Page 2 of our annual report is a joint message from myself and Fern as registrar. Page 6 through 9 highlights main points of our legislation and history. Our committee reports are also included in the package. And everyone's favorite part of the package, the audited financial statements. Those are included as well. And there will be a quiz. So our audited financial statements, before I step into that, I just want to reflect on a couple of things. One of the things that we were very committed to over the past year, and we believe is reflected in our communications and our ongoing coordination with registrants, is our commitment to open, transparent governance and making sure that all registrants understand when the college board is making decisions, the committees are making decisions, that they're being shared in a timely and effective way with all the registrants. So one of the things I would like everyone in this room and everyone on the webcast to be reflecting on is the fact that we are looking for your feedback. What's working? What's not working? What questions or concerns do you have about any of the decisions that the board may have reached over the past year? Questions on our financial position, questions on policy. We're very open, we're very transparent, and we want to hear from you today. So having said that, let's now talk a little bit about our audited financial statements and open that up. I'm going to have Fern come up and take a look at them and also provide you with a little bit of context for our year-end financial position, hopefully answer some of the questions that you might have after you've taken a look at the statements. Once Fern does that, we will be calling for a vote for acceptance of the statements. And then the last piece of formal business on our agenda today will be to adopt the minutes from last year. But I think the more important piece for us to cover today and the most time we want to allocate is definitely to our financials. So with that, Fern.
Thank you, Diana. For the financial statements, they're towards the end of your package. If you would take a look, please, at page 2. I would like to highlight a few items for you. And first, I would like to direct your attention. Page 2 is the Statement of Operations. And when you look down the left-hand column, you'll see the 2014 figures and the variance percentages. And you can compare those to the previous years, 2012-13, on the right side of the page. And without getting into particulars of each of those items, you can see that we had a little more income this year, a little more revenue than we did the previous year, and that accounts for a greater number of registrants by a few, not a whole lot, and our major increase was in the government grants we received this year, 97,500 altogether. Now, the expenses are usually the more fascinating part for people. So when you look at those, and again, if you compare the current, well, last year to the year before, you will, if you go down, you will see that the first major difference is under contract services. This year we spent roughly last year, 173,000 compared to 89,000 the year before. If you think about those grants that we received, we had to have people doing the work. So a lot of that was a direct flow through of paying the consultants to do the work that we got the grants for. So a lot of that is totally understandable. The other few things that we did a website update. It's referred to as the backbone of the website, and it's a security update that we did need to do. And it also included some increased work with our human resource personnel, our consultant who worked with the board and did some contract work with us. Continuing down the two columns, the next semi-significant area is the professional services, and that accounts for legal costs, accounting, and the auditor. And it's up a few thousand, not terribly significant. And the same with the next one, publications and communications. It's up a couple of thousand over the year before. And most of our communication, as you know, is through email. And we do require you, according to our bylaws, to have a current email address where we can get in touch with you. So email communications were up, as well as a little bit of on-site liaison that I did around the province. Not as much on-site as last year because our budget was tight, but some of that as well. So more increase in our email. Now, wages and benefits are also up over last year, and the reason for that was our Deputy Registrar, Melanie, took a one-year leave, so we had an overlap of staff for a period of time during training, and then, of course, benefits continue during that leave, and the new person is on board. So that pretty well covers it. The one thing that doesn't show a difference from last year, but I do want to raise because it's created, as you can see, a negative bottom line for us. We're 13,000 in the red, which is a very first for our college, and we're not terribly excited about that balance. And it was unexpected from my point of view in that I had predicted the budget would be very tight. We call it a flatline budget, where we pretty well end up kind of at zero at the end of the year, maybe a little bit in the black. I had predicted roughly 11,000. And as you can see, when well, you can't see that, but when amortization is factored in, which is not a line item that we budget for, so that's the depreciation of our equipment, our software, our database, you know, all that kind of, our jurisprudence software, which is new, but our continuing conference, we have to pay on that and it depreciates. And if you look at the note in the back, note number 2, you'll see that amortization is a complex matter, and different items are depreciated at different amounts each year. So this year, when amortization was factored in, or depreciation, that amount that I had not budgeted for and wasn't really ever paying attention to, because it had been the same, pretty much the same year after year, it put us over into the red. So that is why we ended up at a deficit budget balance, not budget, but a deficit year-end balance.
And I think just one piece of context is for the comfort of everybody in the room and on the webcast as well. These are accounting practices. So amortization is an accounting practice. It doesn't mean we're missing money in the bank. It means that our year-end financial position on paper has a deficit. But just to give people comfort, we're still paying our bills. We still have money in the bank. It's not a cash flow perspective of an organization. It's an accounting perspective. It doesn't diminish it. But I just wanted to give folks comfort that it doesn't mean we're running out and borrowing money because of this. It's an accounting position.
Very good point, Diana. Thank you. And that leads me directly into the next page, which is, what page is that? Page 3. Our statement of changes in net assets. And you can see, I'll come back to the capital assets because that is something I want to mention briefly. Our restricted fund has a nice healthy balance of $756,000. We've been working towards $1 million, which was set up by the interim board way back in the beginning, the very first board, and it is a fund that's kept separate with GICs. They amortize at different rates, so we're capitalizing on interest variations. And this restricted fund is only available through a board resolution, and it must be only for legal fees, disciplinary action, or related costs. So, you know, the disciplinary complaint area, legal, very specifically. And we did check with our lawyer and other colleges as to whether this amount was too much, not enough, you know, were we aiming high or low or right on. And a discipline hearing can cost, in a blink, like $400,000. So the board made the decision to stay on